for some driver ratings?
Not even slightly.
Maybe we're gonna have to do. We're gonna rattle for the next 20 over the next 40 minutes. It has to be that the people have demanded it of us, Shez, and so we've got to oblige. Should we work from reverse finishing order up? How does that sound?
From hardest to easiest. I like it.
I'm going to throw to you then in the first instance. Out of 10, course sliding scale settings. Gabriel Bortoleto, rank him for me, sir.
I'm going to give him 3 out of 10.
I knew we were going to start arguing. Why 3?
What did he do? He managed to get out qualified by his teammate in sprint qualifying. Couldn't make it out of Q2. Then went for an absolutely ridiculous dive bomb on who's it, Liam Lawson in the sprint race, and had a horror crash, which unfortunately can be blamed on 0 other people but himself. Very, very happy to see that he got out of it, but the violence of that crash, I think you sent me an off-board video of that from the grandstands. It looked like an absolute mess, which meant that he was not able to participate in Grand Prix qualifying, and then in the Grand Prix itself, he was the one that caused the initial safety car. I can't. I mean, I want to be able to give him more marks for the fact that he was the only Brazilian driver at the Brazilian Grand Prix. I think 3 is generous in giving him that.
I concur, sir. I think 3's 3 too generous. I've given him a 0. You can't rock up to your home Grand Prix and yeet it into the barrier on consecutive days. Now look, you can chalk up the first one to whatever, it's wet and he's a rookie. The second one, however, how very dare he was that around the outside of Lance Stroll? How very dare he make Lance Stroll look like an empathetic figure? This is outrageous, Shez. It's just you can't give that dude any points. It's a 0. Yeah, I empathise with him. I'm glad that he got out okay. Of course, it was heartbreaking to see him crying post race, and it's the Brazilian contingent. But how the move wasn't on. Don't go up the outside. All drivers are created equal, but some are created more equal than others. You're going to go round the outside. 2 trailer park girls go round the outside of Lance Stroll. No. 0 out of 10. Chezinho, let's go to Charles Leclerc.
Just as an aside, I feel like this is how these ratings are going to go. I feel like I'm getting an insight into your parenting.
I do not. I straight shoot me, Shez. There's no chaff. It's straight.
But is this going to be like Google ratings? Like everyone gets either 0, 5, or 10?
Mate, you've got to use 0 sometimes. Crash in 2 days. You're an F1 driver, one of the best in the world in the upper echelons of motorsport, and you eat it into the barrier twice in 2 days at Brazil. Your home no, unacceptable, Shez. And I wouldn't even mind if Gabriel Bortoleto wasn't a brilliant driver and he wasn't just on the Pelas Pistas podcast with Maximilian Verstappen.
Yeah,
he didn't have him as a mentor and wasn't managed by another god tier peddler in Fernando. Can you imagine a chat between Max and Fernando after that? They'd have been doing one of these like shamed faces. Go on then, Charles Leclerc. Let me give you mine first.
Hit me.
I've given Charles a controversial 6. I know he wasn't racing for long, but this is one of those ones, isn't it, Shez, where he's done everything right, but it's turned out wrong. I mean, even as far as the amount of width and wiggle room that he gave those 2 numpties inside of him in Kimi Antonelli and Oscar Piastri. And yet, still, they both still managed to find him. I think Charles Leclerc did everything right, man. And he qualified really well. Listen, in a Scuderia Ferrari car that's a dog, put some respect on Charles Leclerc's name for once. Hit me. Charles Leclerc rating, Shez.
I feel like these ratings are like you're literally like my dad. Like these are the ratings that I get off my dad. I'm giving him an 8.
What? Go.
Yeah.
Go.
Because look, if we're gonna give, and we're gonna see it later, if we're gonna give Max Verstappen like big fat marks for dragging that tractor to the podium. Then I think we need to give props to Charles Leclerc for putting his tractor
Eight's a bit
at the front of the
generous,
grid. You know, fair enough, he wasn't quite on the front row, but that Ferrari had no business being that far up the grid for Grand Prix qualifying.
Fair.
And like you said, I think he raced pretty intelligently. And it was not really his fault that, as you say, the two numpties on the inside of him decided to use him as a skittle.
Oh my gosh. Lewis Hamilton. Sir Lewis Hamilton. Hit me with a rating, Shez.
Sorry, Lewis. 3.
Why?
So what was he? Out in Q2 in sprint qualifying, and again trying to. Some people have tried to use the excuse that Leclerc purposefully spun in front of him, but he was not improving on that lap anyway. As much as Crofty was trying to say that he was on some kind of warm up lap on a race to the flag to get another lap in, I think that's also him not understanding what was going on. So I think on merit he was out in Q2. In sprint qualifying. He was out again in Q2 for Grand Prix qualifying when his teammate qualified third. Can't do that, I'm afraid. I don't think he was completely to blame for the first corner incident with Carlos Sainz. I think Sainz probably had quite a bit to do with that, but he also, if he qualified a bit higher, he wouldn't have been in that position in the first place. And unfortunately, the Colapinto thing is a little bit inexcusable. Like, he really shouldn't be driving into the back of Colapinto. And again, you can argue, Colapinto moved in a way that he didn't quite expect, sure. But, you know, 7-time world champion, he's been driving since 2007, hasn't missed a season. Come on, like, your front wing can't be going underneath your car because of something as rookie as that, I'm afraid. So 3 marks out of 10. He seemed pretty despondent as well afterwards. I think he agrees with my mark.
He said some things, and he's now in the naughty corner, isn't he, with John Elkann? I would see you that Sir Lewis, Carl Davidson, Hamilton 3, and I will give you a 2. Shez, again, I think you're being generous, mate.
Why does he get a 2 and Gabby gets a 0? It seems
because he didn't yeet it into the barrier 2 consecutive days. That's why. Consistent over here, unlike the FIA. Shez, here's why Sir Lewis has to get a 2. And again, maybe there's a 7-time champion tax in there ever so slightly, but I've watched back both of those incidents a gazillion times between now and yesterday's race. And I don't understand how I can blame anyone other than Sir Lewis for both of them, chap. Genuinely, I'm looking at them like, well, on the Carlos Sainz thing, he's done a Kimi Antonelli and presumed that Carlos Sainz's car can somehow do some sort of quantum mechanics and be Schrodinger's cat, disappear into a space that doesn't exist. That doesn't make any sense. And then the Colapinto thing, I'm like, that looks like a move that I would pull. I think Lewis is in a bad place here, mate. And then he ends up, of course, he's in the carbon fibre zone because of qualifying. Some may say that Charles Leclerc had something to do with that, but nevertheless, bloody Nori. Clumsy is the word that I have for Sir Lewis then. And again, he wanted it to be a dream, and now it's a nightmare, blah, blah, blah. But on track, ultimately, it wasn't good enough from a 7-time champion. Tsunoda-san, hit me, Shez.
Oh, I'm going first again, am I? Okay. Yuki gets a 2 from me this weekend. Again, you're going to argue with me about him hitting the wall or not hitting the wall, but I think hitting a moving target is just as bad. I half want to blame him for the fact that he didn't serve his time penalty properly as well, but I feel like that's unfair. But no, like, he qualified badly in sprint qualifying, qualified last of all the runners, didn't he, in Grand Prix qualifying, and then lap 1. Like, if you're calling Lewis clumsy, then the Stroll incident is definitely, that was just dire.
That's it, mate. And I'd give Tsunoda-san a 2, a begrudging 2. Again, if you make Lance Stroll look like an empathetic figure, you can't expect higher than 2 or 3 for me. It's bad from Tsunoda-san. And again, sometimes you need to be able to seize victory from the jaws of defeat, particularly if your job as an F1 driver is on the line. Mention no names, Arvid Lindblad and Alex Dunn. I think it's going to get techier than techie things for Tsunoda. And he couldn't even inject himself. He couldn't even do a Checo Perez to Max Verstappen in 2021. He couldn't even inject himself somehow, notwithstanding his slow pace, into the Max Verstappen driver championship argument, which leaves me sad. Tsunoda-san has to get it. I think he's lucky to get us 2 is the honest truth. I think we're being too generous here. It must be Christmas or something, Shez. Go on then. Lance Stroll in 16th. I've given Lance... Can you take my temperature for me, Shez? I've given Lance Stroll a 7.
Huh? A 7?
Let me explain. Indulge me for a second.
Hit me.
So Tsunoda-san spun him out, right? And so how did he get back up to 16th if it wasn't for a drive that's at least worth a 7 out of 10? How? I think he's done all right there. Plus... Not to mention that Aston Martins look super quick in qualifying, but then all of a sudden, as per usual, their race pace goes by the wayside. I think Stroll's done all right there, mate. I know ultimately only starting position he's down to, but if you get hit and then you've got to work your way back through the field ever so slightly, and your name's Lance Stroll, I think that deserves a little bit of praise. Hit me, Shez. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I was going to give him 5.
Go on.
I thought he qualified all right, didn't he, in sprint qualifying? Like it wasn't too bad. Got knocked out in Q2 for actual qualifying. Was really at the back of the grid. Like, you know, I think I'm being nice to him by giving him 5. I gave Gabriel Bortoleto 3 for yeeting the wall. I think 5 is about as much as Lance kind of deserves. I can't rate him based on the fact that he drove a little bit better than he has done across the course of this season.
All right.
He's driven woefully this entire season.
Point taken. Maybe I've been a bit generous with him there. But I mean, if you work your way back up through to 16th, and by the way, Gabriel Bortoleto, your score is incorrect. The correct score is 0, of course, but we agree to disagree. Go on then, let's talk about...
But actually, remember, it's 16th when 3 other drivers have also fallen off the road.
Yeah,
right?
Fair. Normalised for that, fair. You've done the old P17 to P2 Max Verstappen, or P1 last year. You've normalised for the things. Okay, so maybe I've been a bit generous, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Franco Colapinto, chap, do you want to go first on this one or shall I?
Go for it. Tell me what you think.
I just didn't even see him in a race. I'm just giving him a 6th because he's 15th.
I did.
Go on then, explain to me, apart from with the Lewis. But again, I can't blame him for that Lewis instance.
No, I'm not even thinking about that.
Go on, explain to me.
Okay, so how many drivers went off in SQ3?
Okay, fair. All right, cool. So we judge it. So I've got to establish terms and conditions here. Are we bringing in? I suppose you've got to look at the weekend.
It's a Grand Prix weekend, isn't it?
No, you are
they've been on track. They've been performing.
You are correct. No. I'll extend you that grace, Shez. You can adjust and amend for the rules like the FIA do, as and when you want. Chapter, do you know what I mean? Please continue, sir.
The stewards give me a 5-second penalty only. Yeah, I was going to give him 4. You know, on a weekend where his teammate qualified in the top 10 in an Alpine that has been doing absolutely nothing for 7 races, Colapinto was nowhere in both qualifying sessions, and he was lucky to be ahead of Lewis. Lewis managed to drop that far back after his Sainz debacle, didn't he? And that's why he was ahead of Lewis at that point. I don't think he had anything to do with that particularly, other than being the car that was there. But spinning out of the sprint race, and you saw how he did it as well. Of the 3 drivers, I think he was the most egregious. Like he'd gone in too deep into turn 1, was out of position for turn 2, and that's what put him pretty much all the way across the curb in turn 3. And then just didn't have the nous to know that he probably needed to feather the throttle a little bit rather than giving it full beans.
But I think you've been a bit harsh though, Shez. If Lando doesn't give the Mario Kart banana peel settings, do any of the 3 go off at all?
I'm going to mark all 3 of them down for it as we go through. But Franco had very little redeeming had very few redeeming features this weekend. So that was the highlight of what I saw him for this weekend.
Fair.
4 it is.
Fair point taken. Go on then, Fernando Alonso's take it away.
I'm giving him a 6 because I think he performed some miracles in sprint qualifying, didn't he? But in fact, so did Lance then in that session. So I think the Aston was actually pretty good. But then the car sort of across the rest of the weekend just kind of fell back to its mean and just didn't get faster as the other cars around it kind of did. I think Fernando did the best that he could with that car, and that's why he's getting a better mark. But normally, right, and he did this in the sprint race, right? If you watch how a race pans out, there's always like the top guys, and then there's a gap, and then there's the Alonso train.
True, just like Trulli back in the day.
Just like Trulli back in the day, right? But there's the Alonso train, and who did he have behind him in the sprint race? He had some fairly big hitters. I think didn't he have the Ferraris behind him?
I can't remember.
I think he did. I think he had the Ferraris behind him in the sprint race, right? And Charles got past him, and Lewis didn't quite in the end. But to hold those guys up, I think merits a higher score than Lance Stroll does. So I'm going to give him 6.
I've given him 6 as well. Why, though? I don't know. I feel like I expected more from him given the pace of them in qualifying. I think that's what I've marked him down for, and ultimately
in qualifying.
Yeah. They looked quick free practice.
Well, they were both out in Q2 in sprint in Grand Prix qualifying.
There you go. So maybe I'm talking about free practice and just can't remember because I pay so little attention to back markers. No, but they look quicker.
Fernando L plan back marker Alonso.
Insane chap. Insane. Maybe I need to pee. 6 is generous, isn't it? What's he doing down there? I know the car's bad but surely he's looking on he should be scoring points there, Fernando. I'll give him 6, whatever. I digress. Go on.
I think that's fair.
I think I've been a tad generous, but it's my story and I'm sticking to it. Good sir. Let's talk about Carlos Sainz very quickly.
Carlito. I gave him.
Go on.
Oh, are you going to? No, you go first. Please,
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I think the grade, the score depends on to whom you attribute culpability for the Lewis Hamilton instance. If you, like me, think that Carlos Sainz did nothing wrong, that in this Sainz Hamilton equation, he was merely an innocent passerby, as was Oscar Piastri in his love kiss with Kimi Antonelli, then I think you give him a set. The pit stop was slow. He was driving 99% of the race with damage. He's taking it in 30. He should be looking to score points every single race, given the fact that Williams are getting quicker and better, and it's Jimmy V at the helm. And plus, he's Carlos Sainz, for Pete's sake. Or at the very least, he should be right there next to Alex Albon. But I don't know. I think 5 or 6 is fair. Hit me, Shez.
I gave him 4.
Oh, the humanity. What are we doing here? This is insanity, sir. What are we doing?
No, I'm sorry, man. He qualified plumb last in sprint qualifying. Like, actually at the back. With no major mistakes that you could see in his lap. He was just super so that I think
it's the sprint. It's the sprint.
Yeah, mate, it doesn't matter. Like it's still a competitive session, and you still have to try and do your best in it. Like you can't just be like, oh, whatever, it's the sprint. Like that's just not how it works, is it? And I think that was probably the biggest qualifying gap between him and Alex Albon all season. It's terrible. And then he repeated the feat. Not quite, like he wasn't last in Grand Prix qualifying, but he was pretty far back. So the fact that he tangled with Lewis Hamilton, that was a little bit like his fault, I think. And you're being quite generous to him as well. But he was the meat in a some kind of sandwich. So yeah, he was in the middle.
But let's double click on this quickly, mate. Since we're getting
go for it.
Getting into the nuts and bolts. How was Carlos Sainz to blame for that instant?
Well, he wasn't. He wasn't because it was but
good.
In terms of in the sense that it was the lap, first corner incident, there were 3 cars going 3 wide into that corner. He wasn't the one deepest on the inside at the apex. He was also aiming for an apex. Lewis was just more egregious. So I think if you're going to put, if that was lap 5, then you put it on Lewis. I think Lewis would probably get a penalty for it. But Carlos wasn't completely blameless in that either, being that he was also trying to overtake somebody on the inside of him.
For you're going to penalise him for his mere existence.
Correct.
On the that's outrageous, Shez. I can't. I can't. If Lewis had done what Charles Leclerc did, Sainz wouldn't have even been in the same
I've given Lewis 3. I've given Lewis 3,
okay,
and I'm
fine.
giving Carlos 4.
Right.
I feel like I'm not being that mean to Carlos.
We agree to disagree. Umant says Stroll's performance is directly proportional to the amount of jam his engineer applies on his helmet. Oh, the humanity. Safat says, I wanted to give Franco Colapinto 4, but he didn't crash. So 4/7.
He did crash.
I know he did. Alonso, but we're talking about the race, aren't we? Listen, mileage may vary. Parameters, the Overton window of the rating parameters is what we're dealing with here. Safat says Alonso 6, 8, 7 out of 10. Umont says for Fernando Alonso. Go on then. We've got to rattle through, Shez, because we're going to go on here. We're going to take 10 years to get through these.
We're going to rattle through the next few then.
Let's go. Ocon, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Didn't even know he was in the race. Don't care. 5. No, I'm joking. I'm being stupid. Esteban Ocon's drive wasn't too bad, right? Up 8 places from a pit start. For that, I think he's worthy of praise. Again, Maximilian Verstappen's going to take all of the pit lane starters' limelight and praise. But Esteban Ocon has been struggling of late versus Ollie Bearman. That, given where he started, okay, so you got Hamilton, Leclerc, Bortoleto, each one out. Nevertheless, mate, I think that's a stealthy good drive, worthy of a cheeky 8. Hit me, Shez. Tell me why I'm wrong.
8. You're going to give him 8?
Yeah, I am, and I'm standing my base. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I think he is the very definition of a 6.
But he's gained 8 places, chap.
Yeah, great. But he was again a driver that was soundly beaten by his rookie teammate. Like Bearman was making that car dance, man, and Ocon was what?
Yeah, well,
and I feel like this is a pattern now as well for
yeah, no, it is a pattern. He's underperforming, mate, particularly his teammate in the other car. But I don't know, mate. As soon as I see a green 8 next to his name and a 12, if he'd scored, but mate, I think you're being harsh.
Three drivers did not finish that race.
This is fair. Go on then. We're gonna have to agree, mate, to disagree. Tell me about Alex Albon in 11th. What score have you given him? Another 3.
What did I give Sainz? 4, right?
Mate, you asking me? Do I look like the?
Yeah, I did. I gave Sainz 4. I gave Albon 6.
Bordeaux.
It was a okay drive.
It's not bad. I feel like he would have warranted a cheeky 7 had he nailed Pierre Gasly on the last lap. But there's no way that Gasly should be finishing ahead of Alex Albon in a Williams. I think for that, he deserves. He's lucky to get a 6 from me. He should have probably gotten a 5. So it's a bit techie that from Alex. But again, he I don't know. The first in 41 laps on those mediums. That's not too bad. But again, 11th speak for itself. Pierre Gasly, hit me, Shez.
8.
Oof. It's a bit generous, isn't it? Why?
That Alpine had no business qualifying in the top 10. That
Correct.
Alpine had zero business finishing in the top 10.
Correct.
And I think he's actually reversed a run over the Latin and American parts of this season against his Argentine teammate. So I think he's done quite well in Brazil.
I mean, but if your benchmark is so low, Shez, like, what does that say?
Well, no, but I think Franco's actually been improving though. I think Franco's actually been doing a lot better in the last 2 or 3 races. So I think that's why he's been signed up for next year again.
I say to you again, if your benchmark is so low, then what does that really say? Give me some useful information, chap. That Franco Colapinto's been getting better. I mean, anything is better than yeeting it into the barrier in perpetuity, is it not? Pierre Gasly, I've given the chap a 7. I think it's what I think the Alpine is the worst car in the constructors, is it not? And for him to
100%.
for him to score points both on Sunday and Saturday in the sprint is worthy.
This, my friend, is why I cannot understand why you've given Esteban Ocon a 7 and you've given Pierre Gasly a 7. You think those drives were both the same?
No. But I mean, it's decimal points now. It's lost in the roundings. If we're gonna do one,
I gave him decimal points as well.
Did you?
0.10.
Okay, so if we're gonna we'll do decimal place next time round, Shez. But for now, I've just rounded. I've rounded. My mind is too short on bandwidth to do decimal places. It's far too late.
All right,
we'll do that next time. Go on then. Hülkenberg in 9th. Listen, I like myself a cheeky, longer than anticipated stint. 38 laps on them, their soft compound tyres to finish the race, and points in a Sauber. Put some respect on Niko Hülkenberg's name. I know he's something of a specialist around Interlagos, but 9th chap, 38 laps on them, their soft compound, them red labelled softs. Put some respect on his name. Give that dude an 8. And if you've given him less than that, me and you're going to fall out. Shez, hit me.
Yeah, 8.
Correct.
Not just because of the stint. He put some passing moves on as well, and they were good. So, yeah, he gets it. And he would have been higher if he hadn't also put it in the wall in sprint race.
Oh, yeah. But again, not.
I know you're not, but it's
not
whole
necessarily of his doing. That. I mean, how are you going to navigate bananas from Mario Kart?
Well, the same way Kimi Antonelli did, just not hit the curb.
Yeah, but he was the only one to see the bloody water pop. But anyway, I digress, mate. We're getting too techie than techie things. Isack Hadjar, talk to me, Shez.
Yeah. So the racing balls are tricky because I think Isack, like on pace, was the better driver. So I want to give him an 8. And yeah, it was a bit 50-50 on the last lap between the two of them.
Cheeky coming together as
well.
Yeah.
But he came off worse. And so I'm going to give him 8 because I think actually he drove really well in the in both qualifying sessions, and he put the car somewhere that it probably shouldn't be. So yeah, 8.
I've given him a 7.
Oh, yeah, cool.
That's
probably reasonable.
If you get beaten by your teammate,
yeah, in the race,
who's in the race, correct? Who's done 52 laps on
their
medium compound tyres. I think, and I didn't like him over the radio. He needs to start taking himself. I know it's his personality, but in my humble opinion, as a grizzled F1 vet, I think Isack needs to take himself just a little bit more serious.
Are you dropping in marks for the radio?
100,000%. Dial the self-deprecation down just a couple notches, sir. Just a couple, lest you wish to be a meme and not a world champion. Talk to me about Liam Lawson. In fact, I'll go first on Liam. 52 laps, as aforementioned, on their medium compounds on the final stint is crazy work, Shez. Crazy. But for the love tap at the end, which was a bit sloppy, typical Liam Lawson, I would contend that dude deserves a 9, but I've given him an 8. Tell me why I'm wrong.
You're not. I'd have given him an 8 as well, but because of that 52 lap stint was impressive, very, very impressive. If he'd qualified ahead of his teammate as well, he'd have got a 9 from me.
Crazy work. Talk to me about Ollie Bearman.
Ollie. So Ollie Bearman, like, it's annoying, isn't it? Because I think Ollie, I would have given him a higher score. Like, I'm going to give him 7. No, I'm going to give him 8. Let's do it. I'm going to give him...
Mate, we're going to have words.
Yeah, we can have words. But I think, again, like that Haas shouldn't be as high up the grid as it is. But I have to drop him some... Did I say 8? I'm going to go back to 7 again. Because in the race, actually, he wasn't as good as I expected him to be. But in qualifying, he was really good up until Q3. And then, for some reason, it all went to his head. And he went too hard on his outlap and didn't put in the lap that our car with him in it deserved in Q3. I don't think he could have qualified higher. So he left a bit of time on the table there. And in the race, I have to say again, he was one that I wasn't keeping too much of an eye on, but he did keep some fast cars behind him for longer than he should have, I guess. 7.
I've given Ollie a 9, chap.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, if only because the move into turn 1 on Liam Lawson was a thing of beauty, chap. It turned me out. I thought it was beautiful, mate, and for that and that reason alone.
This is why I shouldn't be doing your ratings. I totally forgot about it,
mate. I had to go back and rewatch it, and I saw that. I was like, oof. Can you spell Max Verstappen on Esteban Ocon 2024 around Interlagos? It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Oscar Piastri. Go on, and here's my question to you, Shez. I've given him an 8, being that what did he do wrong? Again, just like Charles Leclerc, another case in point of doing all. I have given him an 8. What did he do wrong, sir? I'm chalking up. I'm calling anomaly as far as Lando Norris and the banana peel in the sprint. What I'm talking about in the race, he did nothing wrong, chap. He was destined for a second place. Normalised for these anomalous instances. Him getting yeeted into by Kimi Antonelli was no fault of his own. That wasn't him. And the 10-second penalties for Gasly, just typical FIA. I can't punish him for the sins of the regulatory body, sir. Putting an 8 on it, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Tell me why I'm wrong, Shez.
6.
Oh because, my gosh, this dude. What are we doing here? What's going on? 6. Why?
Yeah.
How?
And I love Oscar Piastri. I think he's great, but this was not an 8-worthy performance. Like, Kimi Antonelli shouldn't have been ahead of him. Charles Leclerc shouldn't have been ahead of him. That he should have been P2 on the road from the start. That move happened. Because he qualified out of position. Like, even if it's a couple of places out of position, it's still out of position. That he should not have finished. He should not have started there to then have to put on a move like that. And as ambitious as that move was, and I salute that. It was brave, it was ballsy, but he shouldn't have had to put that move on. And unfortunately, whatever you want to say about the regulatory body, that move was judged in a way that the drivers have asked for. They've agreed to this. The only driver that didn't was Max Verstappen. The only driver in that 3-car salad that didn't agree to it was Kimi Antonelli, because he wasn't on the grid when it happened.
This is chaos, sir.
But you can't you can't adjudge him to not have a penalty because you don't like the rules that you asked for. I'm sorry, that those two things don't add up to me.
We're gonna have to.
And unfortunately, Oscar has had a massive loss of pace over the last 3 races. It was a bit better in Interlagos, but mate, not by a lot. He was still 3/10 of his teammate.
I am allergic to this level of blasphemy, sir. I can't. Sir Charles Edward Cheese, you're an absolute legend. There is no way that deserves. Well, you've given him a 6. You're punishing him for the sins, the consistent inconsistency of the FIA.
No. It's not because of that. That's a byproduct of how he ended up there. But that car should not be qualifying behind a Ferrari and Kimi Antonelli. I'm sorry, it just shouldn't.
The disrespect, Shez. I can't even engage it anymore, mate. We've got to move on because we're going to time out. Otherwise, we've got George Russell to talk about. Who's going first, you or me, good sir?
I feel like I'm out of breath after my.
I'll go. So I've given George a 6. Of course, he had reliability issues, but if your rookie teammate is down the road from you, even reliability issues accounted for, I don't think that's good enough from George. I think he will look back on the outcomes here and feel a tad disappointed in himself in the first instance. Per your Magna Carta, Shez, he got out qualified by his teammate. I would expect I would be doing. This is the context. We have this conversation under this aegis, similar sort of thing to Sir Lewis Hamilton. If I rate Sir Lewis Hamilton as I rate him, then I can't extend him infinite amounts of grace, can I? I've got to apply the same methodology to George Russell if I think that potentially he could be the next one after a Max Verstappen, then I wouldn't necessarily expect him to be getting outdone by his rookie teammate in his first year, irrespective of how good we think Kimi Antonelli can be. 6, it's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yep, I haven't got anything to add to that. 6 for me as well.
Let's talk about Max Verstappen then, sir. Do you... ladies first, Shez?
Go on then.
Let's go. Go on. I will go first. I will go first on Maximilian Verstappen. 15 chap out of 10. I don't care. That drive was... No, Shez, come on though. The dude was 45-1 to win the race. 45-1. Everybody wants to do the Monday morning quarterback thing and say, well, it's a rocket ship and he had himself a power unit and blah, blah, blah. And 2021, Lewis Hamilton was better. And I get all that. But if that's the way you think, then you would have put your mortgage on at 45-1. Everybody wants to be a god tier Monday morning quarterback because hindsight is 2020 each and every single time. Put some respect on Maximilian Verstappen's name. I didn't think that he had that in him unless it was rain and safety car circumstance. He goes from P20 to P3, makes impossible things look like they're almost routine at this stage. It's just a bloody shame about the strategy. If you're going to go hard or go home. Either leave him out or do the medium thing. They did not. And that's a pity because otherwise that could have been 25 points. And not the bloody third position. And what do you get for third? 12, Shez. I don't even know. It's so low. I'm not paying attention. Tell me, Shez, what did you give Maximilian Verstappen?
So what are you giving him? 15?
Correct. Mate, no apology for that, Shez. Don't judge me.
What a nutter. All right. Well, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to give him 9.
What? What are we doing, chap? What are you... Hang on. No. Like, the wedding's off, mate. What are we doing? This is nonsense. 9. Explain yourself before I go scorched earth.
So, the reason for that is because he qualified where he qualified because that's how fast he was able to make that car go. And sure, they had to then stick it in part ferme and completely change it and stick a new power unit in it. But he was out in Q1 in a Red Bull. Yeah, right, and that setup change isn't completely down to the team. He also has some input into what they are doing. So there has to be some level of accountability there. He would have got 11 from me for that race if there had been some other reason for why he qualified Q1. But he didn't. He got out of Q1 because he couldn't drive that car fast enough, which is not like Max Verstappen for me. Certainly not the way that he's been described to me by everybody. But the race was incredible. If this is just on the race, on the Grand Prix, yeah, like even for me, he gets an 11. That was unbelievable. And that for me on Sunday was probably the best Max Verstappen drive I've ever seen, because it was dry. And yeah. But this is the beauty of being able to take the entire weekend as a whole, right? And there has to be some level of balance to this. That's why. That's why. But it was like, make no bones about it. If it's based just on Grand Prix Sunday, he gets an 11 from me. But if he had driven like that, if that car had been the way it was on Sunday, which actually, if you look at how they got there, there's no way he could have won that race, because that setup would never have been on that car early on enough in the weekend.
It's outrageous, mate. I don't even know. Who is this dude on the right side of your screen, and what has he done with my mate Shez? This is unacceptable. Charles Edward Cheese, you're an absolute legend. Smash the like. Nando, if I find out you're not leaving likes, then there will be problems. Cam, how very dare you? And Peter D. Windsor talked that way about Sir Lewis Hamilton earlier on the F1. I did my best, Charles. I defended Lewis Hamilton to the nth degree. There was no length at which I wouldn't stop or go to defend Sir Lewis in that instance. It got techie though, didn't it, Charles? I disagree vehemently with you on this, Max Verstappen, but we're gonna, in the name of time, Shez, we're gonna have to bury the lead. Talk to me about Kimi. That's outrageous though. That is outrageous that you've given Max Verstappen on the back of that performance, qualifying notwithstanding, a 9 out of 10. But we're gonna have words.
Data not vibes, man. Data not vibes. Always.
Incredible. Kimi Antonelli, talk to me, sir.
Oh, Kimi. He would have been a shoo-in for a 10 actually, but he gets an 8 from me.
Bodger.
Um, just the odd 10th on the table in both qualifying sessions when I think he if he'd been a bit smarter in the middle sector, I think he would have stuck it on pole, which would have been incredible. But that's what that car could have done in his hand. So there was.
If he'd been a bit smarter in sector two, I thought that's where he was being god tier, Shez. But that's just me being a numpty, maybe.
No, I don't. No, I don't think so. You're never a numpty, so maybe I've got it wrong. But the way I saw that, he potentially had the pace to be on pole, and he left a little bit of time. That's because we're not doing decimals. That's a point there. And then for his part in the Oscar collision, because I think he was like that is as much as I agree with the stewards having to judge these things based on whatever the guidelines that the drivers agreed to is. So that's what they have to do. I think Kimi should have known that Oscar was there. Charles left him more than enough space on the outside, and to turn in like that at the apex when you've got somebody like locking up on the inside is asking for trouble. So he loses a mark for that.
Look at Sir Charles Edward Cheese joining you in your Max Verstappen blasphemy. Max couldn't pass Kimi. Bro's clearly a fast car merchant plane. Nando, don't know what you're on about. I just spend bloody know Sir Charles.
I mean, I think his tyres were probably dead by that point. So
I mean, if we're going back to Max Verstappen very quickly, the only points that I could deduct off of him, qualifying accepted, is for the cheeky oversteer moments in the dying embers on the last lap when he was trying to chase down Kimi Antonelli. I've given Kimi Antonelli a 9. The only reason why I can take points off, I've said surviving and causing a collision. You can't do that, chap. I just don't think. You know what? It's a 10 all the way for Kimi Antonelli by dint of the fact that he looked a lot like Max Verstappen did at COTA in 2021 when a fire-breathing dragon in Sir Lewis Hamilton had fresher tyres then.
You love that race.
Mate, it's brilliant. It's one of my Neo in the Matrix moment. Max making his first jump, and I feel like this would have been that for Antonelli had he not caused the bloody collision with OJP as he ran fourth. Shez, tell me about Lando Norris. Give that fella a rating.
He's going to get a 10.
I mean, how can he not, chaff? Really? I'd love to be stupid and give him an 8 or something.
I know, me too.
But he was masterful. Lando Norris 2.0 settings. Quali with pressure I've written down. Tick. Studying the max snake restarts. Tick. With pressure. Tick. Lando 2.0 for the World Drivers' Champion.
And nailed his start.
Tick. Who is that chap in car number 4?
This is a different driver.
And what has he done with Lando Norris? Where's our beloved Nando? Again, maybe driver champion. Shez, you've been a legend as always, mate. I've been an irresponsible chair and we've run over by 2 minutes. You guys have been legends as always. So Charles Edward Cheese, how very dare you, sir, with the Maximilian Verstappen blasphemy. But in all seriousness, mate, I appreciate your support ad nauseum, more than words can convey. On your right of your screen is Chezinho, aka the A side. If you enjoy his god tier market leading purple sector F1 insight and analysis, get yourself over to his channel, Tired GP, on the YouTubes. It's not bad, that channel, chap. It's not bad. It's not. Sometimes, one of the days I will get in your dirty head, you know what I mean, and get myself some slipstream action. One of the days I
think it's the other way around. But thanks, Cameron. I appreciate it.
I think you read it wrong.
Nice of you to say.
I think you misconstrue. So you mischaracterise the circumstance. I'm right, and as always, you are wrong. Chezina, you've been a legend. Between now and next time, at some point in the next few days, we'll have to reconvene on a cheeky shakedown, talk all things Scuderia Ferrari et al. It will get chaotic. You guys have been legends. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to start to do these ratings. If you like them, let me know in the comments. Between now and next time, as always, the prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.